count 6 shots, nigga. I count 2 guns, nigga.
Hana Apnapi. Welcome back to Genealogy 101. I'm your host, Opemiha. And today, we're going to cover something a little bit different. So we're still going to be on the free persons of color. But what I wanted to cover real quick, and again, we'll keep this between 20 and 30 minutes, is the Savannah, Georgia, U.S. Register of Free Persons of Color. And this particular volume, so this is volume 1, so this is going to be from 1817 to 1864. And as you can see on the screen, this Chatham County, state of Virginia, city of Savannah, Free Persons of Color Register. So when we go through this, as I'm talking, I'm going to kind of click through this. As you can see, it'll show you the dates. Again, what I like to point out to people that this is also during a time when, this is Georgia. This is supposed to be when, all people of color were enslaved. So again, keep that in mind as you're looking through this. This information can be found on ancestry.com. Okay, so that's the source of where this comes from. So as we go through this, it's going to tell us it's a microfilm that by the Genealogical Society, Salt Lake City, Utah, and the Department of Archives and History, state of Georgia. So again, here's your sources where you can find this information. And let's begin. Like it says on the screen, let's get to it. All right, y'all. So again, when we look at this information, of course, the writing is not going to be that great. Luckily for us, with most of the information on Ancestry, we can click this little icon here and it'll give us, let me see here, it'll actually give us a more better print on what we can actually see down here if we just move this up. Okay, so what we'll do as we're looking through this is we will actually take a look at the actual document, and then we'll go down here and read the names and what we can get out of this. Okay, so let me pull this down real quick, and I'm gonna pull this over so you guys can just see the document. So normally what they'll have on here looks like the names, their residence, the occupation that each person has, any property that they own, and then there's a guardian section over here. Okay, so let me pull this back up. And let's go ahead and read the names. We'll get what information we can out of this. So on all these, as you can see, they got the person's race is black. Overstand this, please. We know people weren't being called that, and I'm pretty sure on this page here, it doesn't even put their race on it. But we'll go with what we got. Okay, so let's go ahead and pull this up. We'll go ahead and get started and start reading the names. And you'll even get the age of some of the people. And again, this is in Savannah, Georgia. So we got Adam Anderson. They're saying that his age is 13 and that his occupation is he's an apprentice. Our next person is going to be Amos Ash. Again, Savannah, Georgia. We don't have anything listed for occupation. Next is Lewis Alexander. Again, Savannah, Georgia. He's a seaman. We got somebody named Adelaide. Again, no occupation. We got Peter Audinet. And it looks like Peter, Savannah, Georgia, again, is a carpenter. We have Adam Anderson. So we have another Adam Anderson on here. Again, he's a shoemaker. Next is going to be George Adrecht. And looks like he's a carpenter as well. We got Stephen and John. Again, free person of color, and he's a tailor. And then we got Janetta John, and she's a seamstress. All right, so let's go ahead and we will move on to the next page. Now, I believe on these next pages, they have the people that we just saw. So I'll read this. So we have someone named Arian, who's a washer. It's only information on this page. We'll go to the next page. We have Adam Anderson, which was one of the other people we saw. Also a shoemaker. You can see their register date. All right, our next person is Arian again. So we'll move forward. Okay. So we have a new list here. So let me pull this down here. I want you guys to see the actual documents. Here it is. Again, you got the names, the residence, the occupation, any kind of property. And you guys can see that this information is probably kind of old. And of course, the cursive is written, so you really can't read much of it. But luckily for us, they put this information down here at the bottom. All right, so we're gonna go through this next page here. So we got Alexander Beatty, who's a drayman. And if you want to know what some of these occupations are, I would just advise, looking it up, find out. Next, we got Celia Beatty, Thomas Beatty. All right, our next person is Mary Burdott. Then we got Adeline Burdott, Caroline Burdott. All right, our next person is going to be Joshua Burke. And it looks like he's a butcher. We got Fanny Burke, Josiah Burke, Charles Burke, Mary Burke, Serena Burke, Joshua Burke Jr. Okay, I'm assuming that is probably a family. All right, our next person we have is Amelia Baptiste. And it looks like she is a vendor of small wares. All right, that's her occupation. Next, we have Betsy Baptiste. Also a vendor of small wares. All right, our next person is Tom Bryan. Then we have Nanny Bryan, Andrew Bryan. Okay, so that's that family. Next person we have is Louis Benoit, and it looks like he is a tailor. Next we have Judy Bing, Hannah Bing, and David Bing. All right, our next person is going to be Mary Bryan. All right, and then after that we have another Hannah Bing. We have Joseph Bing. We have Clary Bing and Nancy Bing. All right. Okay, next we have Celestine Baptiste. We have Harriet Baptiste, Aaron Baptiste, Francis Baptiste. All right. Next we have Harry Borquin. Says his job is he is an apprentice. Next we have Ned Borquin, also an apprentice. We have Sue Borquin. All right. Our next person is going to be Dobby Bryan. Then we have Francis Bigot. And it looks like Francis is a tailor. Next is Sarah Bolton. And it looks like she says her occupation is she's the wife of George Bolton. All right, next we have Harriet Borquin. We have Eloise Bigot. We got Placide Bigot. We got our next person is going to be Hester Baldwin. All right. Then we have Charlotte Bailey. Then we have someone named Buffoon. Then we have Maria, Eloise, Edward, and Georgette. Okay, so that'll finish up the list on the second page. All right, so our next page. All right, again, I'm going to pull this down. Sorry about that. So I'm going to pull this down. I want you guys again to look at the document so you can see the sources here. It says January 1823, names, residence, occupation, property, and guardian. All right, so let's get back into it. Let's pull up our list here again. We'll go through the names. So again, I'm doing this for genealogy purposes in case someone has people from Savannah, Georgia. These names, may be pulling up in your ancestry, and you can see for yourself that these people weren't slaves, they were free people of color. All right, our first person is going to be Amarita Baptiste. Next is Mary Ann Baptiste. Then we have John Baptiste and James Baptiste. All right, our next person is Mender Baker. As we can see, the occupation is a nurse. Next, we got Judah Bacon. Occupation, washerwoman. Next, we got Mary Bashong. Susan Bashong. All right, our next person is going to be, let me see here if I can get this to go higher. No, it's as high as it goes. Okay. All right, next we have Dolly Bryan. Next we have Clarissa Brown.
I count 6.
Then we got, actually Clarissa Brown is a pastry cook. Then we got Charity Bryan, who is a farmer. We have Patsy Bunny, who is a cook. Lot Beard, who is a washer.
You didn't mention kneecaps.
One second here, y'all. All right. Then we have Alec Batty, who is a drayman. And then we have Hortense Butcher, who is a seamstress. All right, so let's move on to our next page. So again, we're still doing the Savannah, Georgia, U.S. Register of Free Persons of Color, 1817, 1864. All right, so let me pull this down again. I want you guys to see the document. Same information as the other pages, January 1824. Names, residence, occupation, property, and guardian. All right, so let's go ahead and pull this back up. We'll read through it. All right, first we have Joshua Burke. Again, you'll see the race, the registered date, their residence, the occupation is they're a butcher. Fanny Burke, she's a housekeeper. We have Alec Beatty, a drayman. We got Celia Beatty, seamstress. We got London Butler, who's a wagoner. We have Susan Bouchon, who her occupation is washing. We got Charles Burke, apprentice. He's an apprentice to tailor. We got Josiah Burke, no occupation. We have Minda Baker, and it says her occupation is she does nothing. We got Beck Baptiste, occupation is a washer. We have Joseph Bing, who says his occupation is carter. We got Clary Bing, who's a seamstress. We have Judy Bing, who's a washer. We have David Bing and Hannah Bing. All right, so we're moving on to our next page. All right. So again, the document in the back of this is going to be the same as it has been on all the other ones. Just want to show you that real quick. All right. So our first person is going to be Ann Bryan. Says she's a washer. We got Tom Beatty, who's a dryman. We have Judy Bacon, who's a washerwoman. Leah Beard, also a washerwoman. Mary Bryant, no occupation. Isaac Borquin, who's a barber. We got John Baloney, who's a porter. Rachel Baker, who's a washer. And Josiah Burke, who's a tailor. All right. So as we start going through this, you guys can start seeing that some of the names are, they're popping up over and over on these pages. So yeah, let's keep on going and see if that trend continues. All right, so it kind of looks like it is. So let's keep on going here and see what we're finding here. So it looks like some of these names, and I'm just looking through it real quick, are going to be probably names we read already. But let's go ahead and go through them again. We got Rachel Baker, a washer. Judy Bacon does nothing, so we saw that. Leah Beard, washer. Ann Bryan, washer. Josiah Burke, butcher. Fanny Burke, washer. Josiah Burke, tailor. Charity Burke, tailor. London Butler is a carter. And they may just be doing all the people who have occupations on this particular list. Amelia Baptiste, vendor of small wares. Betsy Baptiste, vendor of small wares. John Baloney, porter. Polly Baptiste, seamstress. Patty Burney is a cook. We got Robert Benjamin, a porter. Mindy Baker says does nothing. Rebecca Brown says does nothing. Joseph Bing travels in the country. Hortenus Vulture says that they do everything as an occupation. John Baptiste, Mary Ann Baptiste, Amaretta Baptiste, and James Baptiste. Nothing listed for occupation. All right, let's keep it moving. All right. Now I may start skipping some of these because I'm starting to see some of the same stuff here. Let's check out this page here. Yeah, so let's keep it going. Let's see here. Trying to get to a new list here because this is more of the same. Okay, here we go. Okay, so I skipped a couple of pages because we were starting to get the same people over and over in their jobs because I could start seeing a pattern. So on this particular page, we do have new names, so let's go ahead and cover them. We have George Carter. Says he's a carpenter. We have Mary Carter, no occupation. Patsy Carter, no occupation. Alexander Carter, no occupation. Next is Thomas Cousins or Coxon. Sorry. Says he's a carpenter. Then we have Jack Chivers, an apprentice. Thomas Crawford is a cooper. We have Dolly Cook, who's a vendor. We have Grace Cook, Christina Cuthbert, George Cuthbert, Mary Cuthbert, Hannah Cuthbert, Jonas Cuthbert, Amos Cuthbert. Okay, so no occupation on them. We have Hager Cruviller. Or excuse me, I missed Francis Cruviller, Taylor. Hager Cruviller, no occupation. Peter Cruviller, Taylor. Charles Cooper is a carpenter. Lewis Charles is a mariner. We have Charlotte Charles, Maria Cohen, Richard Cohen, Abby Cohen, Johnston Cohen, Henrietta Cohen. Our next person is going to be Haley Charles, is a tailor. Henry Cunningham is a minister of the gospel. We got Elizabeth Cunningham, Anne Jane Craig, George Craig, Monimia Craig, Ann P. Craig, W.B. Craig, Mary Clotter, Nancy Clotter, Julian Cornish, Sarah Craig, Minta Curry, and Mary Sherritt. All right, let's move on to our next page. So again, we're covering, just for anyone that just got to the video, the Savannah, Georgia, U.S. Register of Free Persons of Color, 1817-1864. All right, so our next person is Prince Candy. He's a Cooper. We have Minta Curry. We have Salmon Chadaver. Looks like he's a carpenter. Dolly Cook, vendor of small wares. Adam Cook is a Cooper. Asispia Cruveller is a seamstress. Lucy Cuthbert is a washer. Maria Cohen does gardening. Charles Cooper is a carpenter, and Cherry is a seamstress. Christina Campbell is a mantle maker. Next, we have Henry Cunningham, minister or preacher. Elizabeth Cunningham is a seamstress. Thomas Crawford is a Cooper. Hagar Cruvaller is a shopkeeper. George Cuthbert is a drayman. Mary Cuthbert is a servant. Harriet Castle is a pastry cook. Frances Carley is a washer. And Justine Crulever is a vendor of small wares. All right, so let's keep it moving. And again, here's the names, the occupations, any property that they owned. All right, so let's keep it moving. All right, so let's go ahead and pull this up again. So again, there's the names. And so as you guys can see, we're starting to get some repeats on these. But let's go through them just in case there is somebody new on here. Christian Campbell, seamstress. Minta Curry, they don't show the occupation. Frances Carl, seamstress. Mary Carter, seamstress. Dolly Cook, vendor of small wares. Adam Cook is a Cooper. Prince Candy, also a Cooper. We got Delia Candy, seamstress, and Craig, seamstress. Thomas Crawford is a Cooper. George Cuthbert is a Damon. Christian Cruveller is a seamstress. Charles Cooper is a carpenter. And Espens Cruveller is a seamstress. All right, so let's move on to our next page. All right, so we got Mary Curry, Christian Campbell, seamstress. Dolly Cook, vendor of small wares. Adam Cook, Cooper. Mary Cardis, seamstress. Thomas Crawford, Cooper. Job Clark is a porter, and Ann Craig, again, a seamstress. So again, like I was saying before, a lot of these names are going to repeat because it looks like they're adding in their jobs on some pages, and then the next page, it may not be there. All right, so let's move on to our next page. See who we have here. All right, so we got Nancy Cox, who is a washerwoman. Susan Campbell, she's a waiting woman. Rena Curry is a seamstress. John Curry is a tailor. Job Clark, again, a porter. Justine Cruveller is a pastry cook. Doris Cruveller, not showing occupation. Jonette Cruveller, no occupation shown. Rose Cruveller, no occupation. Delia Candy, seamstress. Prince Candy, Cooper, and John Cuthbert, servant. All right, so let's keep it moving. And let's see here if we're getting the same names again. Looks like we are. So we're going to skip this page. We'll skip this one as well. And we'll start with this one. So this should be a new set of names. All right, so we got Alexander DeBross, who's a barber. We got Jose Olive DeBross, no occupation. Catherine DeBross, no occupation. James DeBross, no occupation. Francis DeBross, no occupation. Joseph DeBross, no occupation. Louisa DeBross, no occupation. We have Catherine David, no occupation. Next, we have Peter Daly, apprentice. London Daly, no occupation. Mary Daly, no occupation. Let's see, we have Eve Daly, who's a vendor of small wares. John Dugan is a bricklayer. London Daly Jr. is a wagoner. We have Nellie Daly, Bella Daly, Catherine Daly, and Maria Daly. Tina Daly, Peter Daly, they're not showing any of these people's occupation. We have Catherine DeVoe, pastry cook. Margaret DeVoe, no occupation. James Daly, no occupation. Opemiha DeVoe, no occupation. James Daly, no occupation. Harriet Dunbar, no occupation. John Dunbar, no occupation. George Dunbar, no occupation. And Henry Dunbar, no occupation. So these are probably going to show up on next few pages for the people who didn't have occupations. Okay, here we go. So let's go through these real quick. Catherine DeVoe, she's a pastry cook. Nellie Daly, vendor of small wares. James Daly is a servant. Bella Daly is a spinster. Caddy Daly is a spinster. James Dunn is a tailor. We got Desiree Dominique is a shopkeeper. Francis DeLong is a barber. Harriet Dunbar is a washerwoman. London Daly is a blind fiddler. Okay. We got Dominic Deason is a barber. Francis DeLong is a carpenter. And Catherine DeVoe is a seamstress. Let's see what we got on the next page here. So again, behind this is the actual document. Some of the writing is kind of bad, so we're going to stick to this here where we can actually see clearly. All right, so we had Nellie Daly, vendor of small wares. Caddy Daly, Bella Daly, Maria Daly, not listing occupations. Catherine DeVoe, pastry cook, as we keep seeing. James Dunn is a tailor. Let's see, we got Eugenia DeVillers, seamstress. Edward DeVillers, servant. Clariette Dutracel is a seamstress. We have Bethune is a washerwoman. Frank Pettit is a carpenter. We got Georgette, washerwoman. Jasper Dunn or James Dunn is a tailor. Jane Dunn is a seamstress. Letitia Davis, no occupation. Alex Desiree, no occupation. Dominic Desiree, no occupation. Brennan Desiree, no occupation. Madeline Desiree, no occupation. Nellie Daly, Justin Daly, Catherine Daly, Maria Daly, no occupation. Eliza Davis, no occupation. Eliza Dunstan, no occupation. Then we have Joseph Deverga Taylor. And then we got William Dunstan is a porter. All right, moving on to the next page here. And again, you're like I was saying before, you're going to see the same names over and over. Some of the pages are going to show their occupation on one page, and on the next page, it may not be there. So we got Catherine Devereaux, a seamstress. Elez Devereaux, DeVoe, no occupation. Jane DeVoe, no occupation. Isaac DeVoe, no occupation. So Nellie Daly, Bella Daly, Mariah Daly, and Catherine Daly are all vendor of small wares. Nancy Davis, it says occupation invalid. And then we got Francis Deloney, is a seaman. All right, moving on to the next page. Again, we have our same names. So I'm going to skip this page here. And I'm going to skip this one as well. And we'll read this real quick. So we got Sarah Elliott, no occupation. Beck Elliott, vendor of small wares. And Rachel Elliott is a cook. So we'll move on to our next page. Nothing on page 34. And then we're going to go ahead and read page 35.
I count 6 shots, nigga.
All right.
I count 2 guns.
So our first person here, let me pull this down so you guys can see the document there.
76 years on this plantation.
And we'll go ahead and read the names.
But I noticed.
So we got Julian from Menton is a carpenter. Talene from Menton, no occupation. Tula Ferguson, no occupation. Rose Ferguson, no occupation. Henry Freeman, no occupation. Mary Frances, no occupation. John Fegan is a steward of ships. We got Bijat Favard is a seamstress. Polly Favard is a seamstress. Catherine Ferguson is a laborer. Caroline Fears is a seamstress. Henry Fears and John Fears, no occupation. All right, again, we're covering the Savannah, Georgia, U.S. registered free persons of color. All right, our next person is Bijat Favard, a seamstress. Hagar Fiddy is a washer, and Polly Favard is a washer. All right, moving on, we got Polly Favard is a seamstress. Bijat Favard is a seamstress. Hagar Fiddy is a washer. Polly Favard is a seamstress. Eliza Favard and Charlotte Favard and Henry Favard, nothing for occupation. John Favard is a carpenter. George Farley is a tailor, and Hannah Farley is a washerwoman. All right, so page 38, we have Peter Groves, Cooper. Helen Groves, nothing. Evans Great is a wagoner. Mary Great, no occupation. Miles Gerard, no occupation. Mary Gibson, no occupation. William Goldsmith, no occupation. Scipio Gordon, no occupation. Lucretia Gordon, no occupation. We got Madeline Goddison, no occupation. John Gold, carpenter. Juanette Gold, no occupation. Mary Gold, no occupation. Sally Gold, no occupation. All right, next is Jack Gibbons. He's a carpenter. Chloe Gibbons, Hannah Gibbons, so for the 2 Gibbons women, no occupation. We got Mary Ann Gordon, no occupation. Jim Golding is a butcher, and Henry Grace is a seaman.
I count.
All right, let's move on.
I count 2 guns, nigga.
All right, so we got Poppets Godishin is a seamstress. Juno Guard is a seamstress. Georgiana Guard, no occupation. Evan Great is a parson. Mary Great, no occupation. Nancy Golding is a washer. We got Miro Glauding. Our next person is Magdalena Godishin. John Gibson, carpenter. Chloe Gibbons is a housekeeper. Ann Gibbons. is a seamstress. James Golding, Sarah Gibbons. So you guys can see on the screen what their occupations are. I just want to really read the names to you so we can kind of get a little bit further ahead. We got Elizabeth Gosian. We got Priscilla Grant, Marianne Gutierre, Hester Gunn, Sally Goldings, and Marianne Gordon. All right, and then again, when you go here, you can see their occupations. All right. Next. Okay, so we have Evan Great, which we've seen already, Mary Great, Paupette Godishin, we've seen that name as well, Madeline Godishin, Marianne Gordon, Juno Gard, Lucretia Gordon, Christy Gunn, Marianne Cato Gramont, we got Priscilla Grant, James Golding, Scipio Gordon, Tyra Goulding, John Gibbons, Chloe Gibbons, Ann Gibbons, and Sarah Golding. Then again, over here, you can see the occupations that they had. So again, free persons of color, Savannah, Georgia. All right, next we have, let's see, looks like some of the same names, so we'll skip this page. And same names again, we'll skip that page. All right, yep, some of the same names again. We're gonna skip that one and we'll come and read this one here. All right, so our first person is gonna be Charlotte Harris. Here we have Mary Houston, Catherine Houston, Rose Houston, Ann Houston, Sarah Houston, Richard Houston. All right, next we have John Henry. We have Cale Hogg, Larissa Holland, Louisa Hammond, Charles Haley, Mariah Habersham, Taya Harrington, Anthony Harvey, Robert Hicks, Desiree Haydeson, Moreau Habersham, Clarissa Holland, Dolly Hodson, Polly Harris, Phyllis Hill, and Hannah Hogg. So again, when you go through this list or rewatch the video, you can see the occupations. All right. Next page, we have Peter Hobsendorf, Andrew Henson, Phyllis Hills, and Clarissa Hills. All right, so again, these are all free persons of color. Even though you see the names might look a little weird, these are all free persons of color during 1817 to 1864. All right. So let's pull this down real quick and see what this next page says. All right, so this is Chatham County, state of Georgia, city of Savannah. Free persons of color register 1817 to 1829. So let's go to the next page, and it says to be continued. Of course, it's giving us some microfilm numbers. Same information. All right. Okay, so let me pull this back up here. So here's the document again, like we've been looking at. And let's go ahead and pull this up and see what we got. All right, so it's showing the register dates as January 1828 and 29. We got Marianne Gordon, Scipio Gordon, Nancy Golding, and Sally Golding. All right, so let's see. Ann Houston, Katie Hogg, Mario Habersham. So some more of the same names that we've been looking at. Some more of the same names. All right, so we have Clarissa Holland, Charlotte Harris, Mary Habersham, Phyllis Hill, Hannah Hogg, Lydia Hawkins, Elizabeth Harris, and Mary Harris. So again, you can see their occupations. All right. And let's go to the next page here. Again, we have some of the same names, but some new ones. Phyllis Hill, Maria Habersham, Charlotte Harris, Hannah Hogg, Clarissa Holland, Winnie Hawkins, Sally Habersham, Danielle Harris, probably Daniel Harris, and Rose Harris. All right, next page, Moreau Habersham and Hannah Hogg again. Let's see here. Martha Habersham, okay, again, same name. Next we have, looks like Humber Irick, only person on that page. Next we have John Hardenese, only person on that page. All right. Okay, so we got a new, so it looks like this is probably going in alphabetical order as well, as far as I can tell. All right, so let's go ahead and read the names. And again, you can look and see what the occupations are. We got Margareta Jongle, Jenny Johnston, Rose Jalanu, Nancy Jalanu, Janie Jalanu, Frances Jalanu, Julia Jalanu, Mary Jalanu, Adele Jalanu. Next we have Stephen Jackson, Sally Jackson, William Jackson, Susan Jackson, Rachel Johnson, Sarah Johnson, Kitty Johnson, Susan Johnson, Mosey Jackson, and William Jasmine. All right, or Jessamine. Jasmine or Jessamine, one of the other. All right, maybe we'll get one more page in here, or 2 more pages. All right, on this page, again, you can check out the occupations. We have Mosey Jackson, John Johnson, Susan Jackson, James Jones, William Jasmine, Mosey Jackson, Susan Jackson, and William Jessamine. All right, moving on to the next page. Susan Jackson, Rose Johnson, Mosey Jackson, James Jones, John Johnston. So I'm kind of glad that they're showing the occupation so you guys can see, you know, that these people had jobs. So, you know, again, this is in Georgia during the time, you know, when slavery should have been going on. All right. Next page, we got Susan Jackson, James Jones, Joe Jeffrey, Mosey Jackson, and John Jackson. And then again, you can see their occupations. All right, so pull this down real quick so you can see the documents here. So a lot of these are really old, so they're really hard to read at this point, but they were able to decipher something. All right, our next page, we got Susan Jackson, Rose Jackson, Mosey Jackson, and John Jackson.
You didn't mention kneecapping.
All right, so on this page here, we are into the K's, it looks like. So we got John Kerr, John P. Kerr, Prince Kennedy, Delilah Kennedy, Helen Knight, Benjamin Knight, and Affie King. And again, over here, you can see their occupation. So I'm gonna do one last page here. All right, so we got Saint LaCroix, Victor LaCroix, Kate Levert, Delilah Limbert, Josiah Lloyd, Nancy Lloyd, Harriet Lloyd, William Lloyd, Lucina Lloyd, Goldsmith Lloyd. We have Janelle Rose, Hannah Leon, Henrietta Leon, David Leon, Southwold Leon, Peter Lewis, Desiree Latvison, Madeline Latvison, Mary Latvison, Dominique Latvison, Alexander D. Latvison, Renaud Latvison, Susan Lamford, Eliza Lamford, and Isaac Liu. So again, you can see their occupations here to the side. All right, everybody. So this again is the Savannah, Georgia Registry of Free Negroes. And again, I appreciate everyone taking the time out to come out and check out the video. Again, we'll do this, and I'll see you in the next episode of Genealogy 101 with the Autonomous Party. And I'm your host, Opemiha. Take care. Peace.